Hello and welcome, it's Milena with a mini masterclass on anxiety and codependency. Now that is something that we all experience. It comes from an insecure place, a lot of difficult thoughts, a lot of painful associations from the past memories and experiences. But the anxiety is something that keeps coming up within us, and we have found different coping strategies that we use to deal with the anxiety, and can be trying to control other people, trying to avoid certain circumstances, numbing our feelings, disconnecting from ourselves, fully focusing on everything that is outside of us. But what I want to do in this mini masterclass is explain to you where the anxiety comes from in terms of emotional regulation, and what you can do to deal with the anxiety in a different way so that it will decrease, and also decrease in intensity. Okay, so what I often go by in my sessions, what used to make sense to me was that we have three emotion regulation systems. We call them the drive system, the soothe system, and the threat system. When they're well balanced, there is no problem. It's okay to be in each system, right? They work brilliantly together. The problem is that in codependency, we primarily are in one specific system. But first, I want to explain to you what those systems are, right? So the soothe system is the place where you feel relaxed, calm, connected, at ease, at peace. You know, there to connect to, you can be there for yourself. It's just a very, very chilled and blissed out experience. Okay, this is where you feel safe enough to connect to others, where you can trust, where you can bond. This is where love lives. This is where connection resides. This is where you want to be if you want to create a healthy relationship. Okay, so it is really important, really important, to know how to get into your soothe system and how to be in your soothe system, right? To allow the safety and the comfort and the happiness of it, you know, the contentment, I guess. Now then we have the drive system. That's the system that motivates us to take action, that wants us to take risks, to make things happen, to gain something. Yeah, it's the system that gets activated if we're hunting for a new partner in codependency, because that's kind of what it is, right? It's not looking for a partner, it's like hunting for them. You get feelings of wanting, pursuing, achieving, and consuming in your drive system, right? So you can have lots of exciting feelings, you know, driven, ambitious, motivated feelings coming from your drive system. It's good, depending on what you're driven to obtain, achieve, and get. And then we've got the threat system. This is where codependency lives. This is where insecure attachment comes from. This is where you live when you have CPTSD. Okay? In your threat system, you're highly attuned to anything that could be perceived as a threat, right? There's a lot of mistrust. There is a lot of uncertainty, suspicion. It's a horrible feeling, right? This is where you have anxiety, anger, where fear comes up, where you have panic attacks, where you're disgusted, ashamed. That's where all those feelings live, in your threat system. And if you have been conditioned to live in your threat system because as a child no one took care of you in the way that allowed you to stay in your soothe system, then you're conditioned to be in your threat system, and that will create your experience of life, that there is a lot of anxiety, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of suspicion. So that's where we're stuck. And the problem is that we might crave healthy relationships, but if you live in your threat system, if you approach everything from your threat system, you cannot create healthy relationships because you're not open for connection. And you will not choose other people who are open for connection, not the kind of connection that we seek, not the healthy, loving, growing, nurturing kind. So let me change the screen for you and show you that codependency lives in your threat system. Yeah, There is no soothe system. Like sometimes you might feel relieved because you think you have found the one. It lasts a very short time until problems arise, until your threat system gets activated. Even if you were, by chance, with someone quite secure, quite healthy, it's a very, very small chance that might happen. You would not be able to make that relationship work because you would be in your threat system. You would interpret everything as a source of threat. As being, for example, being critical towards you, judgmental towards you, reading into situations, reading into words, attaching meaning, negative meaning to situations, conversations where there is none. So from your threat system, everything is distorted. You see it through a lens of, suspicion and mistrust. Your drive system will try very hard to eliminate the threat. But that in itself, if the threat comes from within you, from your perceptions, your interpretations, the meaning you attach to people and situations, then your drive system kind of works against you, and it's trying to solve problems that kind of are created with the same energy. So you have thoughts that are difficult, thoughts that carry a lot of mistrust and suspicion, and your drive system will then use thought to try and make the problem go away, but the problem is thought. So putting more thought onto thought when thought is the problem is not going to be the solution, okay? More of the problem can never be the solution. So what can we do, right? I have to try to kind of keep this short because I could go on about this all day long. When we talk about mindfulness and getting present and breath work, connecting to your body, connecting to your feelings, this is all aimed to get you back into your soothe system, right? So in codependency, you want nothing more than a healthy relationship, or to be happy, being you, happy with yourself, self-love. You cannot achieve that as long as codependency keeps you in your threat system. It is impossible, okay? So the solution is to outgrow codependency. And that's what I'm trying to share with you, how we can do that. And one main thing is to learn to get into your soothe system to deal with the anxiety that arises in codependency. It's learning to take charge of your emotional regulation. That is so important, because if you're in a relationship, you cannot expect your partner to emotionally regulate you. That is not healthy. That is not how it works. Okay? It is something you have to learn first. So a big part of outgrowing codependency, with the end result being that you start to like yourself, you know how to take care of yourself, you learn how to have healthy relationships and develop healthy relationship skills, means you've got to start addressing your anxiety. Okay, your codependent anxiety, the anxiety that arises when something doesn't go to plan, when it feels like someone is being critical or distant, when someone is trying to get too close. It doesn't matter what attachment style you have, the anxiety is the same, it feels the same. It might be different sources, but it is still something that you need to start to own and, put yourself in charge of. So your challenge will be to notice how often you are in your threat system. In conversations, do you approach this conversation from your threat system going like, oh my God, what's this going to be like? With a sense of dread. If you're quick to attack someone else or quick to get defensive, you're in your threat system. Okay? Fear is in threat. In your soothe system, you approach a conversation with curiosity. Just like neutrality, a sense of calmness. It's like, okay, what's going to happen here? Oh, we're going to have a conversation. That's nice. It's different. It's a different feeling. It's a different energy. It's a different motivation. Become aware of that first, okay? When are you in your threat system? And in the beginning, it will be pretty much all of the time. And then notice how it's very different when you're in your soothe system. And your soothe system is activated when you learn to relax, when you start to be more mindful, when you stay present, you stop your mind from wandering into the future or the past, and instead you focus on this moment now, how you're safe now, how you're not broken in any way now, how you're safe to love others and safe to let love in. And it's about kind of doing those activities, you know, going for mindful walks and refocusing your mind every time it goes into the past or the future. It's about connecting with people and being present instead of getting in your head. So many people are like, oh, I don't want to do mindfulness, I don't want to do meditation, I don't want to do yoga, I don't want to do this and that. It's not hard enough. But the truth is, we need to learn to do that, because that is the way into our soothe system. And it is what we want lives within the soothe system. Okay? So it's one of those things, you struggle with a lot of anxiety and codependency, naturally, because that's how we're conditioned to be, you know, with a constant sense of threat and doom and anticipation that something horrible will happen. We want to have healthy relationships, we want to be connected to ourselves, we want to have self-confidence, we want to take risks in life, we want to have fun. Well, to get from A to B, there are a few things you have to do, but one of them, very, very important one, is to learn to get into your soothe system. All right, you're traveling that path that will lead you to be able to connect in healthy and loving and fun ways with yourself and other people. So I hope you find that helpful. You know, if that's not something you've heard of before, keep checking in, because that's what I tried to do when I first set out on this journey, my journey to outgrow codependency, and then on my journey how to teach my clients how to outgrow their problems with codependency in a logical way, a way that makes sense, that's like life enhancing and encouraging and motivating. So thanks for watching. I hope you find that useful. Check out Outgrow Codependency if you want to learn more about the steps, the ways you can do that, that are quite empowering, compassionate and fun.